Think about it, man. Have you seen those mushrooms that are growing in Chernobyl that are just like eating radiation out of the ground?
No, I need some.
Uh,
They're turning radioactive material in the ground into energy for food to make themselves mushrooms, and they just do it over and over and over again until there's no more fucking radiation.
Hi, welcome back to the Headbangers podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. Here today, we're joined by Wharflurch. How you doing, man? Start off with.
Hey, man, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day.
Oh yeah. So I like to start off with like a little icebreaker. Want to ask, what is your funniest tour story or gig story?
Oh man, I don't know. It's been a lot of wild stuff. Mostly it involves just being on the road and getting pulled over by police and getting our vans searched and shit like that. And being very clever about hiding all the things we didn't want them to find.
I kind of wanted to ask, to be fair. I was going to put it as one of the questions, but I wasn't too sure. But like, obviously a lot of the concept is very psychedelic and, you know, very acidic when you look at like the album covers and the aesthetics. Like, yeah. Do you guys partake in the old shrooms?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not everybody in the band, but me and Mamo, the central figures of the band. Yeah, we're some shroomy boys.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess better than the best gig story and the funniest gig story. I kind of want to ask what your craziest trip's been.
Shit, man, I don't even know. Like, for me, the best parts are when it's like, because usually when I do that type of stuff, I'm in like a very safe situation. Like I'm at home or like, you know, I'm somewhere I feel, you know, comfortable with. So usually there's not like too many wild things that happen, but you know, just the inner trip of it all. Like sometimes it's like, you know, you just close your mind and get sucked into like this fractal world and shit. And I mean, to me, that's the wildest shit ever, is like just being able to make this crazy journey like right there in your mind.
Oh, yeah. I've never done mushrooms. It's quite hard to get them in the UK. So like when you find like someone that does do them, you're there like, oh, come on. And chances are they've always sold out the mushrooms. Yeah, like, fuck's sake.
I mean, anybody I knew who had them from over there would get them from like Amsterdam or whatever and bring them back.
Yeah, that's what tends to happen. You always know. Like I had a friend that bought them once, and he said, he went. They were basically mushrooms in Amsterdam. Like he went, there was no doubt. Like it wasn't like he went. It was literally the exact same.
This is the organic, like non-produced shit. This is the proper stuff.
Aren't they like dried in Amsterdam?
Usually, I would imagine. I mean, you want to eat them dried, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely eaten mushrooms like right out of the field. I mean, I suppose that's a pretty wild story. So we used to go to these like huge cow fields to pick mushrooms, and we'd pick like garbage bags full of mushrooms and shit like that. But like sometimes while we're out there, you know, you just start eating mushrooms. Like, you know, you just pop one in, pop a couple in the bag, pop one in, you know, and they're grosser and wetter and like more disgusting because you did just pull it off of some shit. But, you know, we did that once and we started tripping out there, and then all of a sudden, like a rain cloud, like came out of nowhere, like lightning everywhere. And the dude from the farm came rolling up on a fucking 4-wheeler with a shotgun.
Oh my
and,
God.
Chased us out of there. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. And we were already like tripping pretty hard. So we were laughing and running through this field and like getting rained on. And I think he was shooting at us with like rock salt. You know what I mean? Not actual like buckshot or anything, just like rock salt. Cause I did feel some bits stinging by my ear, you know?
Wow, that's crazy, man. How did you get out of that in the end?
Well, we were parked like pretty like inconspicuously, but far away. So we just had to like run to like the edge of the woods that was backed up to this pasture, and then like just get lost in the woods away from this dude because he couldn't go back there with his 4-wheeler. So once we got to the woods, we just had to snake through there and find our way back to the car.
That's mad.
I'm glad he didn't come around and like find the car and be waiting for us at the car, though. That would have been bullshit.
Yeah, that would have been a good outcome with it.
But then we just made this huge thing of like mushroom Kool-Aid and brought it to a party that night. And it was a hit, to say the least.
Could be the new thing, you know.
I can imagine, man.
And that whole party was good. That's
one thing I also want to ask is, how did you guys originally meet? Like, what was sort of the story behind it, and how did the band start?
well, so me and Mamo have been playing in bands together now for years, but he used to be in this band called Party Time, and my band Hot Graves, we were already friends with those guys when he joined the band, and he was always just a really cool dude. And like even Party Time borrowed our van to go on tour one time and shit like that, you know. So like I'd been knowing him for a while, and then he moved up to Gainesville, and then not too long after that, we started playing in one band together, and then we got into another band, and then I brought him into Hot Graves. And then, you know, throughout doing all these projects, like he's on drums, but he's been doing a lot of like backing vocals and like lead vocals in certain parts. And I was just like, man, we need to have a band where you're just the singer, you know what I mean? And so that's why we started Wharflurch. And originally we had a lineup with a drummer and all that, but then he quit. Man was like, fuck it, I'll play the drums too, you know?
Absolutely. So obviously you released like a very awesome release. I wanted to ask, you know, it's truly a journey from start to start from the beginning. So, you know, it just gets discussing as it goes along. I think it really reminiscent of the old death metal style, but adds in a lot of new stuff as well. Like, what do you think is the secret formula to making this great release?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Like a lot of people have different criteria for like what they want out of the riffs and the things that they write. And I like for our riffs, it's what we call the slime factor of the riff, you know?
Yeah.
Like the swampy sliminess of the riff, that has to be a real thing. That has to be very apparent. And I also like riffs that like kind of intertwine and kind of morph into other things. And, you know, that's kind of like a big part of our writing style. Like, you know, a little part of the riff before will become a part of the riff that comes after it or something like that.
Yeah, that's some impression I got from it. It's like the riff starts, but it's almost like a tree, like it branches out into different things as well. But it all stays consistent. Like nothing ever feels like it's going completely off track. It's like a nice, consistent ride throughout, but like nicely changing things in between.
Thank you. Yes, that's the effect I was hoping for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely like sort of builds on continuity. So for me, it was always like, I remember that bit. And it's one of those things like a lot of bands will write a riff where it's like a one-off riff, and they'll go into a rhythmic section, then they'll go back to like maybe a breakdown, and it's kind of like, there's a song. It's like, but there's no like overall thought process behind it. It's kind of like, yeah, but that's what you do, man. Like, what it's good that it's like this continuity that's constantly like, yeah, but remember that. It comes back.
Yeah, little callbacks and shit.
Yeah,
like it's just one of those things where it keeps you on your toes. Where it's like not everyone can guess the formula of it. You're like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that to come back, but that's fucking sick.
Oh yeah,
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot.
It's like it really paints a picture, I think, because I love music that you listen to and it kind of whisks you away to a different world, and like, you know, you just feel like you're in this like disgusting swamp filled enormous mushrooms and stuff. Like, I think that's what I like about it, and you know, that's the kind of music I'm usually drawn to, because that is the reason why we listen to music, right? Is just to escape and try and be in a different world for a few minutes, and that's what I get from it.
For sure, man. Like I really am glad to hear that, because when me and Mamo like we're discussing like doing a full-length album and stuff, it was like, man, we really want to make this like almost just a movie, a journey, like its own little place that you can be at, you know, when you hear the album.
Oh yeah.
So we spent a lot of time, you know, thinking about it, eating mushrooms, coming up with ideas and like ways to like kind of make a plot and like a story out of it, you know?
Yeah,
no, for sure.
And if you're going for an album, that's like what you should always strive for. It's like, oh, if it's going to be a full-length album, it needs to be something special.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be like a playlist of your songs or something, you know?
Yeah, like, you know, like there's quite a few albums out there that sometimes like you're listening to going, like they could have gone for extra, but with this one it doesn't feel like there was a moment where you're, they could have gone for extra. It's like, yeah, this is really well done. This is what really well thought about, and it really shows in the music.
That's awesome, man. Like, you know, I think it also comes from like when I was younger, an album that I really, really admired was The Key by Nocturnus, right?
Oh yeah.
And like that one really, it's not a concept album, but it has like this overarching feel and concept. And by the end of it, it kind of does have like a storyline that develops, you know? And I always thought that was like so fucking cool, you know?
It's so crazy that you mentioned that as well, because I've got literally on one of the on the list, the questions is I was going to ask what the biggest influence was. And I literally put, I get a hint of Nocturnus from you guys.
Wicked.
Because like my friend James, he fucking loves Nocturnus. Like, he's very old school death metal guy. Like his record collection is unfucking believable. Like he's got original, the band Cancer.
Oh yeah.
He's got like the original fucking pressing of one of the, I can't remember what fucking album it is, but he's got the original. It's like his prized possession. I'll have to ask him after this and let you know, because it's like they did a reprint. They did a reprint like a couple years after, where the colors are different and like the actual design is a little bit different. But this one's like the OG version, and he protects that with his fucking life. He loves it.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
He absolutely loves Nocturnus. I remember like, him showing me it and being like, I was like blown away by it, going, this is unreal.
Yeah, dude, they're like one of those bands that just like came out of nowhere and were better than everybody else immediately.
Yeah, they had something special about them for sure.
You know, and Mike Browning, he was in Morbid Angel before that and all that stuff.
Yeah, and what's mad about Nocturnus is they don't really get as much love as those other bands really do. Like, they're literally war fucking so big in the entire ideology of that scene.
I mean, I feel like if they hadn't done the additional albums, if they had just done The Key and then come back and done that last one that they just did, their whole reputation would be untaintable. But like they had so much fuckery with the guy like stealing the name from Mike Browning and all that kind of shit that they really like tarnished the thing that they had that was good, that was going on, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a shame.
Yeah, they're one of those bands that should be almost on the same level as Bolt Thrower, in my opinion. Like,
I mean, in my mind, they definitely are.
Yeah, like, but I don't think a lot of people like sort of see it like that. They'll go, oh yeah, you hear everyone rave about how perfect Bolt Thrower is, but you don't really hear a lot of love for Nocturnus.
Well, if you listen to Bolt Thrower, it's like they made the same album over and over again, just a little bit better each time. And then when they did the last album, it's like, all right, this is as good as we can fucking do it. And we're out. You know, we did all the songs, we wrote all the riffs. This is Bolt Thrower. You have it now.
Have you ever listened to Memorial?
And I feel like what Bolt Thrower did through their whole career, what they achieved by that last album, Nocturnus did that on their first fucking album.
Definitely.
So
have you ever listened to Memoriam? It's like the vocalist from Bolt Thrower's new band.
Yeah, Carl Willett's new thing. Yeah, I listened to the first EP and I thought it was kind of hokey and trashy. And then they did like an album or something after that, which I thought was good.
Yeah, then that album that they did was like probably one of the first sort of experiences that I had with death metal. Other than like, I think first gig I ever went to was was it Suffocation. That was my first like intro. That was the first ever gig, and I was there like, wait, there's more. Like, and that's when I listened to deep dive in death metal.
What do you think is there's like a resurgence of like old school death metal, I think, you know, with yourselves, and there's quite a few bands like Skeletal Remains. Like there's a lot of, it's like definitely a resurgence at the moment, and I think it's nice to see that because, you know, there was so much heavily produced stuff, which I like a lot of the stuff that's come out in recent years. Like there's always been good music in my opinion, but I think there's definitely seems to be a throwback to that style now. And why do you think that is? Like, why now?
Well, for me personally, like I don't know, because it could just be like an age thing, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm a little older and shit, so I grew up with a lot of this stuff, and it was like my first, like, you know, I went from like thrash metal being the heaviest shit ever to all of a sudden now there's death metal. Yeah. And it's like to the next level. I think the first death metal I ever heard was Obituary too, you know, Slowly We Rot. And I was just like, yeah, this is for me, you know what I mean? Like this kind of shit, you know? So, you know, for me, that's the deal. I don't know. Like, and also there's been a lot more of this old school stuff being reissued, being made available, getting its final proper like credit and due. So like, you know, a lot of these people are having access to this music more so than they ever could in the last like 15 years previous. So I feel like it's more of an influence now because people are actually having access to it and listening to it, you know, especially like the younger bands that are coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's also like a nostalgia thing. I also kind of think there's like a new wave of like 90s death metal that's coming. Like, you know, like how everything kind of comes back up like a couple of years ago, like 80s sort of culture started coming back. I think we're getting to the point where 90s is coming back, and you know, 90s death metal were like, in my opinion, some of the best death metal ever made. So I feel like a lot of people are like, let's bring it back.
The thing about the really old school death metal is all that music was being made pretty much by fucking teenagers, right? Like they were all really young, you know, like they're like my age now and are a little older, you know, most of those like classic band dudes. You know, like I'm reading these like the Swedish death metal history book and the Finnish one and all that stuff. And it's all like everybody's basically telling the same fucking story over and over again. Oh, we were like 16. All we had to do was play music all fucking day. So all they did was rehearse like every single day and play music and like they'd go to some shitty studio that didn't know how to record them and they'd make this demo and like it would spread like wildfire because of tape trading. And it's like, it's always the same shit though, because after a little while, these guys grow up a little bit and then they either have to like fuck off and go to college or to the army, or they have to like, or they just don't like death metal anymore. It wasn't cool all of a sudden, you know, it's like it's all the same thing though. Like all these bands started and it faded out really quickly. Most of them anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I think, yeah, it's definitely like a nostalgia thing now and people are coming back to it. There's also a resurgence, I think, with tapes, vinyls, all that stuff. Like, why do you think that's also coming back? And how do you think it's for the same reason that everything's more accessible now? So people can get their hands on that. People are interested in sort of things that were very big in the 90s. And now, obviously, people can do that again.
I mean, for me, tapes are huge because that was my first format that I grew up buying, you know, like I could go to the store and I could afford to get a tape. And that was before CD players even existed. And when CD players first came out, they were like prohibitively expensive, you know, and like now all this shit is cheap as chips to get. You could fucking, you know, snag a brand new tape player for like $120. It won't be great, but it'll play tapes, you know? And, you know, people are just more excited to have a physical item in their hand than to just be stuck like with some earbuds in or a Bluetooth speaker on their phone, you know?
Oh, definitely. Because I've got, so far I've only got one tape, one cassette tape. It was gifted to me by one of my friends. It's we interviewed them. They're called Cryptic Shift. They're a UK death metal band.
Oh yeah, I got that on vinyl right here.
Oh,
really?
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, I got the picture disc.
Yeah, I think I've got the same one actually.
Yeah, it's got like a cutout on the cover and shit. Such a cool. Yeah, boss.
Oh, mate, they're literally from the same city as me and Brad. Leeds.
Oh, nice.
I went to college with like the drummer.
Those dudes are fucking geniuses, man. But you want to talk about some tapes, man? Look at this. I mean, we got.
Oh, nice.
I got so many tapes. I got to have goddamn furniture for the tapes to be on.
Wow.
Yeah, boss.
I literally remember like getting the tape and ordering like a cassette player straight after. And I remember playing it and like I already started collecting vinyl at that point. I remember my mum coming in like, what the fuck is that, a cassette player? I was like, yeah. And she's there like, do you want me to actually show you how to use it and like what to be careful about? I'm like, yeah, fuck it. So my mum's like sat there. Yeah, she's there like, all right, be careful when you rewind it. You don't rewind it too much because you can snap it. And she talking me through it. She's like, I haven't fucking seen one of these in years. I was like, I know. Got it from like a guy.
Most people gave up on that technology, man. Along like, you know, right around when like iPods and everything were coming out. It was like no one was making tapes or tape players or any of that shit.
Yeah, there's something special about it though. Like,
see, I still got like this tape. I bought this shit when I was in like 8th or 9th grade. I still got all this tape that I've had like since I was fucking young, dude.
I think
like, they doing that cool shit back then.
I think what else it could be is that in that time there was some sort of like underground coolness to it. Like nowadays, it's so easy to just get accessible music. Everyone has Spotify, like everyone in the dogs has Spotify. But like the whole thing back then was like, oh my god, dude, have you got this like I've got this death metal band that you haven't heard, it's fucking sick. And you just like trade it with each other. Like I think people want that now, even though you've still got Spotify. I think people like, you know, well wanted to be in that time zone where that was a thing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and it is still a thing though. People are still doing that stuff now. And it's like, it's really cool to me. Like there's been a lot of people like starting little tape trading clubs and stuff, even just through Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely been like such a massive resurgence of it. I think in a weird way, it's like social media and like how the world is right now. Like it's so easy to constantly be like in your face with shit. So I think people actually miss the experience of going, shit, I just found this like demo. I don't think many people know about it. I've got it on tape. Do you want to listen to it? Do you know what I mean? Like it's there's something about that feeling.
I mean, yeah, that's what I do like on when I do the Instagram live stuff, you know, a lot of the time I'm showing off like whatever new releases that I purchased and got in the mail or whatever. And it's one, to educate people about, you know, some cool stuff if they hadn't heard of it. Two, to like, you know, support the bands and the labels and kind of like put their name out there more. And it's all like it's all like everybody's down to share, and like, you know, nobody's trying to be like a gatekeeper about this type of stuff.
Oh, definitely. Like, yeah, I think it's good that I think in a weird way, like it promotes that mentality of don't be a gatekeeper. Like, keeper. I mean, like don't shit on someone's band just because you don't like them. Because it's such a small group now where everyone's consuming music on Spotify. These guys are like, yeah, but I like this band. You know, you do the same thing as I do. You know, you like this shit as well. Why shit on each other?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super not down with that shit. I try to keep everything, even though we are doing death metal, I try to keep this thing all based in positivity and like good vibes and shit. You know, I want people to feel welcome, and I want them to feel like, you know, there's some people that are hitting me up and they're like we're like one of the first death metal bands they ever heard, just because, you know, we had a different visual look to what we did, and they just were intrigued, and they're like, holy shit, is it more like this? And we're like, yeah, check this out, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, you know, at first I was like, you know, even we were going to start playing shows, I was like, I don't want to play with any bands that aren't death metal and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, man, that's stupid, because I'll serve as a better influence by, you know, just like branching out and showing different people like, oh, this is cool too, by the way, this is fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, it's like it's good to have that mentality. Like you got to look at people like you know, Gatecreeper as well. Like they're playing fucking Posty Fest with like massive artists in pop music. Like back in the day, people wouldn't have said yes to that, but they've said yeah, and I think it's a good thing. And I see a lot of people going, they're fucking sold out. But in my opinion, I'm like, no, that's good, because those thousands upon thousands of people might just stumble on it and go, I actually kind of like death metal. I didn't listen to it before.
Trust me, man. That's all it takes. You just gotta slid right under your nose or something like that, you know. And that's all it really takes, for real. Like, you know, like some people, they never get turned on to it because they never hang around people or whatever. They just somehow never caught on. And then boom, something clicks in their head, and now they're like, you know, they're like us, stuck buying every tape and record and whatever.
Yeah, and I think as well, like it's just to do with when you see a death metal band live. Oh my god, what is that?
That's a tube of slime that came with a recent tape that I purchased.
That's so cool. That's sick. It's like some Resident Evil shit, that.
Yeah, that's this band Hormagaunt from Australia. Then
I'll tell you who I think you'd love. Have you ever listened to Slime Lord?
Oh, I love Slime Lord, man.
Yeah.
And some of those guys are in Cryptic Shift too, right?
Yeah, I think three of them are in Cryptic Shift.
It's Ryan, the drummer of Cryptic Shift, obviously drumming on Slime Lord, and Sam, vocalist / guitarist. He's also the guitar in Slime Lord.
I've already actually pre-ordered that tape, their new one. Oh, that reminds me, I got to talk to Frank about getting the copy of the old one. He said he had one for me.
Yeah, well, I got to see him quite recent. Oh, I missed one member out. George, he's also the same bit. Yeah, you were right, Brad. There's three. But he literally they're so sick live as well.
Yeah,
I saw their live video that they posted, like I guess maybe last year.
Yeah, that was at Boom, my personal favorite venue in Leeds. To be fair, I've always loved the place. Like, it's a proper DIY little venue. They put on hardcore shows. They put on massive, like, they really are, you know, like a local community sort of venue. Like, I'm wearing their fucking t-shirt.
Nice.
I've got such a nice, like, sort of like feeling whenever I'm there. Like, my band, we recorded our first track in the recording room upstairs, just
nice.
as like the third lockdown in the UK just started getting lifted. We wrote it all during lockdown and like, right, let's get in, and we booked in, recorded upstairs. So every time I'm there now, after I'm there, like, I fucking love this place even more. Like,
it's like it's home to you for real.
I wanted to ask about the lyrical content of the new album as well. Like, what inspired the concepts, as well as obviously you have the whole aesthetic, you know, with the album covers. Like, what was the whole thought process behind all of it?
Well, it was really me and Mamo. Like, so when we were writing these songs, we started naming them but before we had lyrics or any of this concept, we started actually naming the songs, like these type of things. Like, I remember we had the names for the songs. We just didn't know exactly what song was going to be what, but we were just calling songs like Phantasmagorical Fumes or Bog Body Bolitas or whatever. So then, you know, once we were doing that, we really started doubling down on the concept with, you know, well, we knew we wanted to have it be about mushrooms and mycelium and, like, you know, psychedelic experiences drawing you into madness. But really, my main idea was that the whole story really was going to be about this original spore that came from another side of a galaxy on an asteroid and took over our planet millions of years ago, and like hundreds of millions of years ago. And like, by the end of this story, you know, the protagonist has found this original mushroom and finally eaten it. And then the hallucination that it produces is that it makes you become one with the entire cosmos. And like, every cell of yours becomes a cell of dark matter that expands throughout the universe and all this kind of stuff. And that being the ultimate horror or whatever, you know?
I feel like you need like a call from Netflix, because this is exactly the kind of show that I'd probably watch.
Yeah, man.
It's cool, man.
I could run it down. We could make a whole movie out of it. Like, you know, if I really had a budget, dude, I'd pay somebody to like animate a video for every song, you know?
Definitely.
That'd be so cool.
One thing I as well want to ask, kind of going back to the tapes as well as like the vinyl. What's your top three favorite albums of all time?
Top three of all time? Well, shit. That's hard, man. Definitely, you know, I don't know. That's so difficult. I don't have like a ready to go answer for that kind of shit, because I listen to a bunch of weird shit. Like this, I like Herbie Hancock a lot. Like, some of his albums are my favorite albums of all time, you know? And yeah, that's a hard question for me to answer.
I think it changes a lot as well, because you know, I'll always like, oh, this is my top three albums, and then next week I'll be like, nah. Depends what mood you're in. Like, you could feel like death metal one day, you could feel like hip hop the next day, you could feel like something else. So it's really hard to determine, you know, overall after the whole, you know, listening of your life, which ones are going to be your top five or top three.
Yeah,
it really depends.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of music that I've listened to a lot in the past, but I would never listen to again because I've just listened to it too much already. And now I have other music to listen to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever need to listen to Led Zeppelin ever again. I don't need to listen to like the Beastie Boys ever again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel that.
It's one of those things where
I'm good.
I'm kind of like that for like Slipknot, because like when I first got into metal, I got into it quite late in the game, to be honest, but when I got into metal through Slipknot through like a friend in high school.
Sure.
didn't listen to him all the way through high school. He was like, you need to check out like Metal Man. Like, didn't listen to him all the way through high school, and then sixth form finally like, you know what, maybe Brad had a point a couple of years ago. And like got into Slipknot. I think first song I listened to was Devil and I ended up listening to pretty much every fucking album Slipknot did, to the point where now when I listen to it, I'm like, I still love them, like, because they're like the first band that like sort of got me into it, but I'm there like, yeah, you know, I can't.
I mean, that's how I feel about Black Sabbath. But Black Sabbath has so many good albums in different eras and shit that they're really one of those bands you can like dig into their catalog and like really spend some years on it, you know?
Oh yeah, I think.
So that being said, top 3 albums of all time: Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales, fucking Black Sabbath Volume 4, and I don't know. Those are 2 anyway, for sure. Oh no, here we go.
Oh yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah,
those are the ones that really like made me doing what I'm doing now. When I was a kid, to the present day, you know,
shaping the music taste.
That you picked Sabbath as well, because I've got an Ozzy Osbourne portrait tattooed on my arm. See if I can
do that. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I've got Lemmy on the other side.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, no, Sabbath, I'm like, good choice.
So, you know, and it's funny because like Motorhead is one of those bands, like it's like a lot of people really like them, but for me, I'm like, man, that's another band that like basically made the same album over and over and over again.
It's true.
It worked for them. Like they found something. They're like, yeah, let's just fucking run with it.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't ever really spend time listening to them though. You know, like I did back in the day, but I never would put that shit on now, and I don't have any in my collection at all.
Yeah, there's so many bands that I've like over listened to in the time, and you know I used to love them so much. Like we listen to them every day, you know, checking out other albums, watching all the interviews on YouTube. Like I think that happened with Iron Maiden. Like I used to be such a massive Maiden fan, and now I can't really listen to them and enjoy them as much. It's just not there anymore for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that new album, like I was jazzed up because I enjoyed that video that came out. I didn't like the song very much, but I liked the video. And then the rest of the album was kind of like that, and I was just like, "Oh God."
Yeah, for sure.
But occasionally they knock it out of the park. I still like Iron Maiden. I just don't spend a lot of time listening to them these days.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I wanted to ask as well. So when the spore invasion comes from outer space, what's going to be your one tool for protection if you can only pick one?
Oh, you just have to submit. You got to just start eating mushrooms. You just got to go in and like get in where you fit in. That's it. There's no winning. There's no surviving that. You just have to become one with your fungal masters.
Yeah, subjects. There's just nowhere. So.
Yeah, it's going to be like the Matrix, but it's going to be organic and not computer driven.
It's the vegan Matrix.
Yeah, like it's just going to be a bunch of mushrooms feeding off of our dead corpses, you know.
Nothing you can do about it.
Think about it, man. Have you seen those mushrooms that are growing in Chernobyl that are just like eating radiation out of the ground?
No, I need some.
They're turning radioactive material in the ground into energy for food to make themselves mushrooms, and they just do it over and over and over again until there's no more fucking radiation.
That is absolutely crazy. I need to see this.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. And yeah, dude. And they were talking about trying to use these mushrooms like on the outside of spaceships, or like a layer inside to protect from radiation from the outside when you're traveling in space.
What would be the reason for that? Is there like some kind of benefit towards it?
Yeah, because like when you're in space, you're getting constantly irradiated. You know what I mean? You don't have that protective layer of atmosphere that this planet does around you. So if you're in like a spaceship, you know, unless it's treated in a way to keep radiation out, you will be getting irradiated the whole time.
That's really interesting.
Or if you're in like a spacesuit, like on the outside of a spaceship, you would have to monitor your radiation levels to make sure you weren't getting radiation poisoning and shit.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
That breed of a fungus that fucking takes over an ant's brain and gets it to climb high as fuck. So they can grow a spore. Yeah, cordyceps, where it literally gets it all the way to the top of a tree and then just makes it fucking spout out its head and then just do something.
Yeah, but did you have you seen how the ant colonies deal with it when somebody comes back with that shit on them?
No, I've never seen how they deal with it.
So basically, if one ant comes back with it, these two like guard ants will like take him out and take him far away from the ant colony to die, and they will die. They will kill themselves as well because, you know, obviously they're infected now too.
It's like very intelligent creatures, to be honest. Like,
oh my God, dude, ants are so intelligent. Like they're a bunch of creatures who work as one thing.
Yeah, it's like that hive mind shit, innit?
It's like view ants like you view like blood cells in your body. You know, like your heart's running the show, but like really they're just going all over the place taking care of business, you know?
Yeah, very business-driven creatures.
So
they're like, no pleasure, just business.
Yeah, ants are like blood, and each ant is a cell of blood going to do its thing, you know?
Yeah, they're crazy to watch. Like, you can just get lost just watching what they do. They're just so calculated, so diligent.
Yeah, dude, like the ant, like what are they called? The leaf cutter ants or whatever? Those things are fucking crazy, bro. They'll demolish a whole like tree, you know, in an hour, you know, just walk a little piece of the leaf down the tree and back to the place or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I wanted to ask as well, like, what was sort of the biggest challenge whilst writing Psychedelic Realms of Hell?
Writing it was not much of a challenge. I mean, really just like the challenge was kind of like just getting the concept to where we thought it was good enough to roll with, you know. But after that, really the only challenging part was getting the mix right. That drove me a little crazy because I recorded the whole thing myself. So it was like I was trying to mix it myself too. And I got it to like a certain point, but then I was like, I'm not happy with this. It's not good enough. So I talked to my boy, John Howard, who does a studio here called Warhouse. And he does a lot of recording for my other band, Hot Graves, and a lot of cool bands around here. He's been recording some good heavy shit. So I brought it to his studio. I sent him all the files, and he helped me get it right, get it listenable.
It sounds good, to be honest. Like, everything sounds like it's mixed correctly. Like no instrument or no vocal lines feel like one's overpowering the other. And I think it's very important for this kind of music because sometimes, especially like the vocals, I feel like the vocals sometimes slumped in the mix. Like it's just too low, needs to be higher. So this is like a perfect balance.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, man, because we worked hard. I mean, honestly, it was pretty much there, but he really helped me get some EQing and compression things that I wouldn't have like thought to do, and he just helped me really tie the whole thing together. And I needed that help because I was just like at my wit's end with it, honestly.
Absolutely, it sounds fucking sick. I want to ask as well. So your hobbies and interests outside of music, then what do you get up to? What's the crack?
Outside of music, I like food. I like cooking food and eating good food and like having fun and shit. You know, I don't have like a bunch of non-music related hobbies, you know, because I do music like constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm not doing this band shit, I'm a DJ playing a DJ gig, or I'm doing like a production shit on the computer, or doing like, you know, whatever. I've been doing some recent synthesizer stuff for a few cool death metal projects that other people got going. So I'm basically doing that pretty much all the time.
What are you like? Do you cook a lot of them? Like a lot of cool recipes?
Yeah, man. I've been like, I always used to work in restaurants and all that stuff since I was a kid. So I always love cooking and coming up with cool food and like exploring different stuff.
What would be the Wharflurch?
Yeah, what up?
Oh yeah,
Hey, man.
The Wharflurch, big fan.
Being a dad is, you know, definitely
Pain in the ass.
There you go, right from the horse's mouth.
yeah, for real.
What would be like the Wharflurch recipe? Like if you were to start a Wharflurch restaurant, what would be the signature dish?
It would definitely be some sort of mushroom. It would be a bunch of mushroom dishes. You know what I'm saying? Some big ass mushroom gravy for some biscuits and gravy. Some smoked shiitake mushrooms. You know, things like that.
I'm picturing like the whole restaurant is just high as fuck. Like everyone's just like out of it. Like nobody speaks. Everyone just like in their own realm.
Yeah, it'll definitely be like barbecue and soul food, but with like probably a vegetarian twist. Because most of the people, well, not most of the people, but I guess I don't know. Mamo, who's in my band, and he's also in Hot Graves, and Tim, who's in Hot Graves, they're starting a food truck, and they're doing like vegan, like Creole style Cajun food and stuff like that.
Sounds really nice.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
Food trucks is something we really don't have much of in the UK. Like we've kind of copied it from America, but it's never like the same. Like,
yeah, really. I mean, it is a bit, you know, it's just like the public space there is set up a little differently as well.
Yeah, like we don't really. I always prefer I prefer America's like infrastructure and shit like because here even at the architecture, our architecture is boring as fuck. It's like like literally like
very grand.
There's a lot of that boring shit in America too. Don't get it wrong.
Yeah. What's mad is like, you know, when you see people that are from here, like when they come over and they're like, oh shit, look at this castle. Like we're so used to seeing that shit where it's like the novelty's off, bro.
Yeah,
you know, the only place I've ever been that really I felt that way, where I was like really stoked to see architecture and shit like that, was when I was in Mexico City.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Like looking at buildings and things that are like older than the country of America. You know what I mean? Like things that are older than any civilized nation that you can think of. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Like we've got quite a few, like, but like it's really weird how like, so especially in Leeds, so like we'll have like these old ass Victorian buildings and it'll be like something like a McDonald's, like especially in Leeds. Like I'm not even kidding, like it's literally so like Brad can back it up, like there'll be like this what you probably used to be like this proper prestigious bank, you know, like right, and then like it's like yeah, but here's a McDonald's. We've made use of the space. Like,
we didn't tear it down, did we?
Well, there's like a law here. Yeah, there's a law here that you can't physically change the outside of a building if it's over a certain age.
Yeah, there's a lot of that here too.
Yeah, like so, it's really fucking weird. There's like a Five Guys in like this like 18th fucking century like looking building like in Leeds, where it's like you're looking at it like, why would you pick this place for a Five Guys?
Like here's your medieval McBurger.
Yeah, dude. Couldn't you put something just a bit more posh in there, you know?
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit, you know? Like maybe a steakhouse or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a bit cool.
Yeah. There's also really odd shit like that, like over here where you kind of walk through like, why out of all the fucking place?
You know, there's a thing here too that I think is funny. So Pizza Hut restaurants, right? They all used to be standalone buildings that had like a very particular look to them, and even their logo had the way the roof looks on it. But a lot of those places, you know, are like failed now, so they'll have like different things in it. And that's one thing I see all over Florida and all over other parts of America too. It's like buildings that were very obviously an old Pizza Hut that got now turned into like an auto insurance place or like an architecture firm or like you know, some other like a Chinese restaurant or something. But it's like that giveaway construction, like the way those buildings were constructed in the 80s, they all look the same and they're all over America and nobody's tearing them down. They're just putting different things in them. Yeah,
it's like they just don't want to get rid of these kind of structures. And same thing over here, to be honest. That's why I've got medieval McDonald's. So we are sort of getting to the end of the interview now, but one way that we always like to leave it is, what advice would you give? You know, you've seen what the 90s death metal scene was like, you know what it's like now with bands coming and going. Like what's your pinnacle advice of, you know, what people should do if they want to get started?
I mean, the main thing is just spend time playing your instrument or whatever. Just do that, you know, like get good at creating your own type of sound. Like, you know, I really never spent much time learning how to play other people's songs like that I was listening to. You know, I was never like, oh, this song is sick, let me learn how to play it. Cause I feel like every time I do that, I like absorb some part of their style or influence. And I don't want to really do that. I just want to do my own kind of thing without it being like murked up by other people's things that I've absorbed from them, you know?
No, that's absolutely right. But yeah, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed your album. I've spinned it a few times. I'm going to continue to spin it because, again, it's like it reminds me of that good 90s death metal stuff with a lot more as well, a lot more layers. Very well produced.
Thank you.
I think yeah, it's just a fucking vibe, man. So I'm excited to keep listening to it.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you guys having me on, bro.
And please come to the UK when you get the chance.
Believe it. Yeah, if we do a Europe, we're definitely do it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure sort of having you on. As well, like, is there anywhere in the UK I can get the album on vinyl? Like,
no, the vinyl is not ready yet. We're still waiting on the test pressings for that.
Right, okay, no worries.
So, but the CD and all that stuff we got over there at Dawn Breed, and I think and the tapes and all that, and Extremely Rotten Productions should have them soon. But the vinyl won't probably happen until the beginning of next year, probably. Like realistically, maybe earlier, but like the test pressings are supposedly on the way to me now, but they're coming from South America, so.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes open for it anyway because I definitely want to spin that on my vinyl player because it's going to sound sick.
Oh yeah, man, it's yeah, we got like 3 different color variations. It's going to be cool.
Hell yeah.
I'm definitely excited to be able to pick it up. I might pick up a CD or a tape if possible. But
yeah, man.
I'm definitely excited to pick it up.
Oh yeah,
man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Brad.